How did superhero movies become the dominating force they are today? While superhero movies are really popular and common right now, this wasn't always the case. Superhero movies as a genre are really interesting to me because the characters are typically really well known within pop culture, and rather than being a wholly original work, each person who makes a film with a certain hero can give their own interpretation of the character and the world they inhabit. Just as comics got darker over time compared to their pulpy roots, superhero films have started tackling bigger issues since the early incarnations. With that, I'm going to look at how superhero films have evolved over time, both in terms of popularity and how they serve as representation of societal heroes. 1978's Superman film acts as a mirror for Golden Age comic books. It's bright, colorful, and lighthearted. Lex Luthor's plan isn't something to show society how bad it is or reveal a flaw of the main character, he just wants to make money by destroying California. It's a bit silly, but it's a really fun movie. Superman marks the beginning of superhero movies getting widespread recognition and presence on the big screen, but they weren't yet at the level of stardom that superhero movies today see. Superman is a pretty simple film, and the same can be said of most of the Marvel and DC movies that came out in the 80s and 90s. What made these films different from modern superhero films is that they were mostly standalone films. There were sequels, but there was no shared universe, and events of one movie didn't always carry over to another movie. This is especially true of the Batman movies of the 90s. Each of these films came out with a different set of villains and different actors playing Batman, but there was really no connection between the events of each film. Thematically, Superman is also simpler than the films that came after it, with it focusing on Superman being a hero and protecting Metropolis because he has powers and feels that he should use them, rather than having internal conflict and questioning if he should be or deserves to be a superhero. This isn't a bad thing though, with the film positioning Superman as this amazing hero who brings hope to Metropolis, and portraying him as simply flawless is the best way to achieve this character. As time goes on, however, more superhero movies are made, and eventually they begin to question the role of a superhero and how someone should accept this responsibility. In the 2000s, superhero movies explode in popularity, with a number of characters from Marvel, DC, and independent characters getting film adaptations. These movies are less pulpy than the original Superman film, and instead of being lighthearted and focusing on how heroes empower society, they focus more on a hero's personal purpose and how to handle the responsibility of superpowers. One of the most popular superhero films of the 2000s, which also tackles this concept really well, is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. The first movie introduces the audience to Peter Parker, and rather than immediately being Spider-Man, you watch Peter grow as a person and eventually decide to use his powers to become a superhero. This decision is what separates the Spider-Man trilogy from earlier hero films like Superman. Clark Kent doesn't necessarily decide to be a superhero, he just does it, whereas Peter Parker doesn't think to save people until witnessing the death of his uncle. This type of character growth gives depth to the film and is indicative of the superhero genre becoming more advanced. The first Spider-Man film is full of choices, with the climactic fight against Green Goblin being highlighted as a choice between saving a group of children or the woman he loves. These repeated choices and opportunities to not be a hero show how, rather than simply being a force for hope like Superman, who is constantly heroic without thinking about it, Spider-Man makes a sacrifice to inspire, giving up some of his life in order to protect those around him. Spider-Man 2 takes this idea of Peter's personal sacrifice to help his city and examines how it affects Peter specifically, with him becoming overwhelmed by having to balance his life with also being Spider-Man. He eventually stops being Spider-Man, showing that he makes a choice whether or not to be a hero. More than just fighting a supervillain, Peter Parker also has to struggle with his personal responsibility as Spider-Man. Even though crime increases in New York after he hangs up the mask, is it his responsibility to stop these crimes with his powers? This level of humanity wasn't present in the original Superman. You did get to see the difference between Clark Kent and Superman, but you didn't see as much of the human element. This increased insight into characters marks a change in the superhero genre, which is similarly seen in other early MCU films like Iron Man and Captain America. As hero movies mature, they explore this responsibility to be a hero more and more, but shift focus from a hero's responsibility to a hero's purpose. Modernly, superhero films have continued to be popular, but instead of focusing on a single character's personal struggle, films have moved to focusing on heroes' responsibility to society and whether or not superheroes should exist in a society. This idea was touched on in Captain America: Civil War, but to me was best done by The Batman in 2022. At the start of the film, Batman is lamenting how he doesn't think he's had a positive impact on crime in Gotham City. He begins the film as a symbol of fear and vengeance, even identifying himself as vengeance multiple times throughout the movie. Rather than being a symbol for the people of Gotham to rally around like Spider-Man is for New York, Batman is a symbol of fear, taking his anger out on criminals and using fear as a deterrent. Where Spider-Man is widely known and accepted by the public for how he fights crime, Batman is almost mythical, fighting criminals from the shadows. The primary conflict in the film is with the Riddler, who uses a campaign of fear to enlist an army of people to attack the mayor of Gotham and flood the streets of Gotham, creating chaos. Just as Batman uses fear to scare criminals, the Riddler uses fear to scare corrupt politicians. By the end of the film, Batman realizes that using fear and anger to stop crime isn't helping Gotham. People are going to suffer from crime no matter what, but to truly help them, he needs to inspire them. This level of introspection in the superhero genre is similar to Spider-Man 2, but rather than questioning if he really wants to be Batman, he questions if Batman is actually helping Gotham. It's clearly established that not having Spider-Man increases crime in New York, but it isn't clear how much Batman has reduced crime in Gotham. This movie takes the ideas and cultural opinions of over 20 years of superhero movies and builds on it, questioning the same superhero genre that has topped box office charts for a decade with the powerhouse performances of the MCU. It also ties back into a common theme of superhero movies: hope. Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman are all symbols of hope in society, but how they go about it is different, and as the superhero genre evolves, these characters and representations of hope become more nuanced. The growth of superhero films into the mainstream has allowed them to grow more complex and even question the genre itself without alienating audiences. These characters and stories are so commonplace that altering certain elements can do a lot in the story being told. The accessibility of these characters and the way large studios are able to make them more and more layered over years of movies is what makes this genre as big and entertaining as it is today. At their core, superhero movies cover similar ideas and story structures, but the way that they're able to evolve and re-examine characters that have become household names is something special and unique to the genre. There are a ton of other great superhero movies from Marvel, DC, or another company, so be sure to comment your favorite and subscribe for weekly video essays about movies.